Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Creative Birth Strategy podcast and the Creative Birth Strategies house here on Clubhouse. I want to thank Clubhouse, as always, for allowing us to hold this event here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m., every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m., for providing education, networking, and strategy. My name is Joe Scarice. I'm the founder and host of this group, and look forward to providing some insight this morning. I want to always thank our sponsors, which have been so helpful in our growth in getting ourselves out there, getting the word out. We're live on all the social media buckets that are out there available: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. We're here to provide insight and networking opportunities. So we'll get started here to first thank our sponsors this morning. We want to always start off with Perkatech with Yardell Perkins, our social media strategist and partner in the podcast. Realty 411 with Linda Pelagas, a national publication for real estate investors and services, as well as national events throughout the country. I want to thank MB Capital, your unsecured business line of credit referral program, providing unsecured business lines of credit for real estate investors nationwide, and Lendmark Capital, where I work and facilitate nationwide direct private lending in the investment space, offering anything from single family through four family, 5 through 25 units on the debt service coverage ratio, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, and insight and strategy in growing out your real estate portfolio. So we'll get started here in just a few minutes and discussing how to choose the right financing for your real estate investment. So I'm going to do a quick thumb and invite a bunch of peoples in, see who's out there in the Clubhouse world. But got the opportunity yesterday afternoon to catch up with a lot of work still, a lot of submissions coming in. Surprising enough, a lot of investors coming off the sidelines in the 5-unit through, like I say, 10-unit space. I'm seeing a lot of refinances. I'm seeing a lot of purchases on more the turnkey 5 through 10 unit. I guess like the inventory itself is the competition level in that space has lessened. Where I think some investors feel it's too big of a jump for themselves, but I'm really seeing quite a few investors coming off the sideline, identifying the 5-unit through the 10-unit space. I really like that space. I think you don't have as many people jumping at it right now, and I think it could be there could be a lot of poor listing opportunities by agents that really don't know how to list a property such as that. I've seen quite a few on the market, so I'm actually looking myself for opportunities such as that because I feel it's a nice little sweet spot. So let's dive into how to choose the right financing for your real estate investment. So let's first talk about some themes in the market that could shape the investing landscape now and over the next several years. Some thoughts here to kind of throw out there, and then we'll go to some of our moderators, of course. I'm really concerned about growth restraints. Costly investments for regionalization and climate change may handcuff economic growth and investment returns. So you're seeing migration rental reports. You're seeing a lot of the smaller markets having issues with rental environments. You're seeing massive conversions in the commercial space. Also, inflation adaptation. While we expect global economic growth to backtrack, inflation should persist, and tight labor markets and regionalization and higher commodity prices will likely more than offset technology's inflationary promise. Investors, consumers, policymakers. I think we're going to have some more issues in the banking space. I think we're going to see some reconsolidations and reconfigurations. Also, geopolitical issues. I mean, we have massive issues right now on party lines, and how that will impact us in the real estate space is unforeseen. It's almost like looking through a shower drape, and you can't really see the clearing of what's really coming down the pike. And then private matters, like private markets continue to grow, backed by improving liquidity, supported by strengthening market infrastructure. Like, how far will asset-based lending go in more of an unregulated comparative to the banking environment where the regulations are strangleholding a lot of these banks and traditional lenders? Like where's are these paths going? So you got to really dive into what real estate investment makes the most sense when it comes to financing. Like real estate investment market in 2024 is expected to navigate through several emerging trends and challenges. Interest rates and economic conditions. The outlook for interest rates is uncertain, which could affect investment volumes and pricing stability. Some experts believe that rates have peaked. I don't know if they peaked. I can't, I'm not an expert, nor am I claiming to be the expert to understand this, which might improve transaction volumes and stabilize pricing over time, especially in markets within within the United States. But I'm still hesitant to say that rates are going to come down anytime soon. I can't see them coming down anytime in the next 3 to 4 years. You know, let's break down some sectors, and then we'll obviously get to um, our moderators. Residential and multifamily. Multifamily properties remain strong due to sustained rental demand. High mortgage rates continue to price out potential home buyers, which is Amy. Do you mind miking for a minute?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Maintaining pressure on the rental market. However, there's concern with the demand for luxury apartments. Now, I'm seeing that, but I had a conversation with several investors last night, and the word is all these luxury build outs in a lot of these cities, such as Philadelphia, an example, right? They're going to infiltrate at least 30% of low income housing into all these Class A, B plus buildings that they're building out right now for rent. I would be very concerned if I was going to be a tenant. Like I'd be upset if I'm getting a luxury apartment, then Section 8 is coming in and getting a discount. Retail is experiencing a resurgence, particularly in neighborhood and grocery anchored centers. The sector is adapting to the rise of e-commerce, which is benefiting from strong consumer spending and job growth. Industrial sector, including the logistics and cold storage facilities, show long-term potential despite recent signs of softening. The push for regionalization and local manufacturing continues to drive demand. I think one big factor which could soften a lot of this is the office sector. Office sector faces ongoing challenges with high vacancy and shifts toward hybrid work models. There are opportunities in repurposing obsolete office spaces for alternative uses like residential or data centers. But my concern is how many data centers can you have? Geographical focus. The U.S. Sunbelt markets such as Nashville, Phoenix, Dallas, Fort Worth, Atlanta, and Austin are highlighted for their growth potential in 2024. These markets will benefit from demographic shifts and economic resilience. So technology and innovation in our space is ever so moving rapidly. Where will it take the realtor? I feel that there's going to be major shifts in the real estate agent space with the NAR lawsuit and the reconfiguration of the MLS. Also, all these associations which I feel are a lot of fat. So, and then I'm seeing title going fully AI. I'm seeing appraisal potentially going full AI. How will these technology moves shift? Overall, I think 2024 is cautious optimism with opportunities for growth in special sectors and regions, despite broader economic uncertainties and evolving interest rate landscape. Investors will need to be strategic and focusing on diversification and innovation to navigate their complex environment. So we always start with ladies first. Good morning, Amy. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to how to choose right financing for your real estate investment.
Good morning. I'm Amy Palvido. I am the founder and CEO of Facilimax, which is a real estate technology company, and I'm also the chairwoman of the U.S. PropTech Council, which is the trade association for the real estate technology industry in the United States. Longtime real estate investor, started real estate investing back in 2008, and I have real estate investments today, but it's not my main focus. So choosing the right financing for your real estate investment, I think, especially in this challenging market, really is, obviously asset-based lending that Joe does. I would also say looking at any sort of green improvement incentives that you can get to add to your capital stack, as long as the lender doesn't get heartburn over it, because it might add a different kind of position on top of their loan, or next to their loan. But I think there's lots of creative ways to get deals done now. And I remember it being horrible trying to find a deal. In 2015, we went through the same thing. We just couldn't find a deal, and all the prices didn't make sense, and all this. So the cycles change, but there's still deals. You can still find them. You just have to work a little harder to find them. But I think the best thing you can do is in this time where their deals aren't as prevalent, is to prepare yourself for when they become prevalent, right? So get your ducks in a row. Make sure you're stocking up cash so that when you start seeing these deals, and if one comes your way, you're ready to pounce on it. So that's my nickel.
Whole half a nickel we got out of Amy this morning, and I appreciate that. As I'll say, the rose amongst the thorns. So, choosing the right financing for your real estate investment involves evaluating several key factors to align with your investment goals, financial situation, and market conditions. Evaluate your investment goals, long versus short term. Determine if you're looking for a long-term investment, such as a rental property or a short-term flip. Understanding cash flow versus appreciation. This kind of touches on what we discussed yesterday on cash return. Decide whether to prioritize immediate cash flow or long-term property appreciation. Assess your financial situation and circumstances. Credit score. Higher the credit can help you secure better financing and better leverage. Down payment. I had a very deep discussion with a very analytical investor yesterday afternoon, and we dived into what made the most amount of sense. Does it make sense to go with 20%, 25%, or even 30%? He was looking more of a turnkey deal where the property was already rented. There wasn't upside to the deal where rents could be improved in the next cycle. And so we moved the rents up. We went with the DSCR. We went with the 20% down because he figured by raising the rent $100 to $125 per unit over the next year, he would capture all his money back in 3 years, and he was okay with that. So, and then understanding DSCR. I know Michelle down below, we just sent her out a DSCR worksheet. Michelle Petty, thank you. Take a look in your email. I sent it out to you. I will also follow with a phone call on Monday morning. And understanding how the income and expense really works. It's not just about principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. It's also about deferred maintenance. It's about vacancy, and it's about property management fee or self-management fee. And then understanding the different financing options. Listen, we're not here to say asset-based lending is the make all or the break all. If you're W-2, conventional loans, FHA loans, if you're a veteran, VA loans, or if you're in rural markets, USDA loans, you could take advantage of those opportunities. Obviously, the commercial loans are there for you to succeed in the investment space, but there's also owner-occupied opportunities to house hack a deal initially. Then there's hard money loans. There's also portfolio loans with local banks and credit unions. Then you could leverage home equity lines of credit or unsecured business lines of credit. And then also, there's always seller financing. There's still people out there that will accept the fact that they might have to hold the paper back on a deal in this market if they want to get the number they want. And do a comparative to loan terms and interest rates. Okay, does it make sense to do a 30-year fix? Does it make sense to do a 10-year interest-only loan? Does it make sense for a 5 or 7-1 ARM? I'm not a big fan of the ARM products, but again, you have to consider all viable options. And then also consider market conditions. Like, where is your market going? Do you have to maybe look at a different market? But I really believe that there's enough opportunities in one's market that they don't have to experiment on their first deal across the country. If it's your first deal, stay local, stay close. Identify an opportunity where you can put your hands on the deal and understand the market, understand the community. And then also there's not enough concern or focus on planning for contingencies, reserve funds. Ensure you have enough reserves for repairs, vacancies, and unexpected expenses. And also, if you're going to do a fixed to rent or fixed to flip, really understand your exit strategy. Understand what your market rent is. Understand what your market appraisal value will be on the way out. Consult with professionals, mortgage lenders, real estate agents, financial advisors, attorneys. Don't go on Facebook and see and try to get attorney advice by people that think they're Facebook legends. Okay? Or don't try to get CPA advice from Facebook legends. Retain a CPA, retain a lawyer for a couple $100, whatever it is, to have a consultation or a bookkeeping service. Okay? I don't think people give credit enough to bookkeeping services to buffer between themselves and their CPA. Understand what the pre-approval process looks like, whether it's asset-based lending or traditional lending. These are items that you need to take into careful consideration for your investment strategy, your financial health, and weather the market conditions in front of you. Comparing financing options, consult with professionals. Listen, we're all professionals here, but you don't have to take our advice. This is not an area where we're giving you direct advice. I highly recommend you go back and get advice from your circle of power people that you have created in your power team. It's extremely important. Good morning, Ed. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to the discussion this morning, how to choose the right financing for your real estate investment.
Morning, everyone. My name is Ed Dowling. I am a preferred partner with MB Capital Solutions. And I have to agree with what you and Amy have been saying. I think you need to keep your toolbox full of different options for financing. You just can't rely on one source or two sources. You need as many as you can, and you have to keep yourself bankable. Your credit score, you have to know your numbers on what you own and what you're making, and profit and loss. Until the right opportunity comes on, you need to be able to pull the trigger fast in this market.
So Ed, I know we have off Clubhouse discussions about where people seek their advice and strategy. Do you think there's too many self-proclaimed experts out there that have really they don't have the background to support where they're giving supposed advisory on? Like, I'm starting to see other individuals now. I could see them prepping to sell something, or they're prepping to have an event to be able to kind of claim they're a self-proclaimed expert. Do you have concern about that in the local, regional level throughout the country, that where we're having economic concerns, so there's going to be this big predatory movement by individuals to grab onto others that might be, they might need that helping hand. Instead, somebody's going to grab money from them, or potentially just try to get it's a money grab. What's your thoughts there?
Well, you see it all the time on Facebook. People offering financing at just too good to be true rates. 100% financing, no credit checks, 5% down. I mean, that's not reality. I mean, people are going to fall for that stuff, and maybe send in a couple $100 to whatever. I think there's a lot of scamming on and false hope on Facebook. And as far as getting advice, yesterday I did put a question out there, and I pretty much knew the answer myself, but I just wanted to hear what others had to say. And I got so many varying different answers. It just shows that everybody has a different take on everything, and they're not experts, So.
Well, I know the question you posed. Did any attorneys actually give any insight to your answer, or was all self-proclaimed?
It was all people. It was other realtors. It was different people, some mortgage people, but no attorneys or nothing like that. And I do have an attorney, so I wasn't. I know I'm definitely going to go consult my attorney before I do anything. But I just put it out there just to see, what people thought.
ladies and gents, I really do believe. Listen, real estate investor groups, real estate investor associations do serve a purpose for the better good. But I have to let you know from a financing perspective, a RIA or an investor group is not going to understand your psyche on where your comfort level is in investing. Okay? Do you want to watch your money grow in an investment, or do you want to have no money into a deal and try to make the deal work on its own 2 feet? Logically, creative financing only can go so far, and eventually you have to qualify for that asset in time. It's a fact. So let's pivot a little bit. Thank you, Ed. I want to talk about the 10 hottest cities to invest in real estate going from 2024 into 2025. Since COVID-19 pandemic ushered a new era of desirable cities for both relocation and real estate investments. Prior to the pandemic, extensive coastal cities such as Los Angeles, New York, Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose, Seattle, and DC, and Washington D.C. allured many based on the employment pool, diverse talent, and attractive city lifestyle. But over time, these 7 markets have accounted fewer and fewer top markets, with people opting for lesser expensive cities with affordable homes and also safety. And the lower cost of living, thriving employment pool has moved to the middle. Okay, almost all the top-rated real estate markets are located in faster-growing southern and western regions away from the coast, with very few exceptions. These top hot cities, I feel, and I do believe by a lot of my analysis, that attract employers that new mitigation and will continue to be a hot real estate market. Number 1, Nashville, Tennessee. Number 2, Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. Number 3, Phoenix, Arizona. Number 4, Austin, Texas. Number 5, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Florida. Number 6, Charlotte, North Carolina. Number 7, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Number 8, Atlanta, Georgia. Number 9, Seattle, Washington. And number 10, Boston, Massachusetts. Now, I have visited, I think, almost most of these cities. I have opinions on several of them. I mean, I love Boston area. I think it's priced itself out, where I see New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine being hot spots for investment and financing and opportunities. But I do like how Boston is really keeping it together. It's clean, it's safe, downtown is really nice, but the affordability, I can't see it being there for a family to live in. It's just pricing itself out. I think the surrounding areas of Philadelphia, Harrisburg, are very strong. I think the city propers of those areas are going to have a rough time, especially in the commercial landscape. I think the rental landscape, it's obviously steering towards Section 8 affordable housing. I think home ownership is flatlining in a lot of those cities, just based on just the recycling of safety right now. We have new mayor here in Philadelphia. Not really sure what's going on in Harrisburg, but safety precautions. I do feel a little different in Philadelphia. I was just in Philly yesterday. I have an office in Philly. I do feel a little different seeing what's going on there. It's going to take it's a longer road, but I think that railroad train of everybody moving back into the cities for availability to arts and restaurants, I think that stopped. I think that's across the country. I think people are moving more into a suburban environment or even rural environment and want to stay in that type of environment for themselves, for their family, and just a better quality of life and calming environment. So that's some thoughts to there. Joe, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to how to choose the right financing for your real estate investment.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Another great topic that you and I, we don't debate, but we discuss all the time. I'm a buy and hold investor. I've done several BRRRRs. I'm also invest in tax liens in the state of New Jersey. So when it comes to investing and financing, you have to look at the financing that's correct for you, right? And someone mentioned earlier about portfolio loans. I think it was you, Joe, about credit unions, which you know that I'm working on establishing a very good relationship with a local credit union here that have some flexibility in their products. You need to kind of shop around, right? It also goes into what structure you're willing to take on, as well as your risk base. The risk tolerance level that you'll allow yourself, right? Some people put every property into an LLC, which limits their financing abilities with a regular bank, and some people will hold them in your personal name and go up to those 10 loans and then worry about moving it into a portfolio loan, which may be better off for someone who's looking to work with a regular bank. So again, I think Ed mentioned about being bankable, right? And it's another investor and I had this discussion all the time about being bankable, right? Someone who's self-employed finds it a little bit difficult, but they're not 100% bankable. And there's some investors that just don't want to deal with all the nonsense paperwork that the regular banks will put you through to get stuff that's warrantable loans, right? So they'll go to the DSCRs and they'll go to folks like Joe, which makes it easier to get. It's based on the asset, the lending that you're getting, and they understand that because they don't have or don't want to provide the W-2s or all their bank statements, right? I got to tell you, when I'm going for these loans and I'm putting in for the last loan that I did with the credit union, I probably had to give them about 500 pages of documents between leases and P&Ls and bank statements and W-2s and all that other fun stuff. And it takes a little bit of time, but at the end of the day, the terms were worth it, and it made more sense down the road. So I front loaded a lot of work, but it was also towards building a relationship, right? So if you have a relationship with a bank, it makes things much easier down the road. So you have to invest and front load all that work in the front.
So Joe, let's talk from a regional level. You go to some of the events throughout the region or local. I mean, when you go to these local events, are you actually running into service providers when you go to these events, or is it just a lot of investors? Like, it's kind of funny when I get together with you at an event. I feel like I'm the only lender in the room. Like, why are these service providers not present at these investor events to give insight on real estate investing? I just don't. I'm missing something. Like, is there something else to do at 6:30 in the evening that they don't feel compelled to sit down with 25 focused investors in the market? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, this gives me an opportunity to lay something out and also take a shot against you. And you're the older generation, right? And the newer generation is more about work-life balance. And I think that's what it comes down to. A lot of the service providers are at the work-life balance. And I would argue that the younger generation doesn't understand the true relationship building that you work so hard at doing. A lot of the younger generation is not going to waste their Saturday and Sunday morning in doing this type of education content for free, right? They're not going to. But at the end of the day, the industry that they're in is a service-based industry, and they have to go where the people go. You've been to the bigger events and you've been to the smaller events, right? And I would argue, without even talking about this with you, but I'm pretty sure you would agree, that at the smaller events with the smaller crowds, you build a better relationship with those investors in the room, right? And that goes with society as a whole, right? If you have a classroom that is 200 students versus a classroom that has 30 students, the 30 students are going to learn more, and it's going to be easier on the teacher to educate those 30 students than on the mass of people. But the majority of the service providers are looking at the bang for their buck, that they need to go to these events where there's thousands of people or the hundreds of people show and get their name out there, which I'm not saying there's no value to that, and you could speak more to that than me, but at the end of the day, you want to make a sale, it's about making it connect and building rapport.
Well, I'll give you some verses on this stuff. I am old school because I was trained by some really savvy old school professionals. But two, I just saw an event they're having down in Atlantic City. They want $8,000 for a vendor table. $8,000 for a 2-day event. That's $4,000 a day. I can go to an investor group for free and meet 25 very focused investors in all levels of experience and have a much more insightful discussion. I could also provide insight on a podcast such as this and have a follow with one or two professionals that are listening in and hopefully build that relationship out or build a referral program with them. To me, our we're in a very unique industry. We could have multiple streams of income in referral as a professional in our field. Not many other areas offer that or extend that opportunity. So you have to think about this. Like, I have nothing against Bigger Pockets and their convention or whatever they have, that event that you call it, or Best Ever. But I'm not going to see that. I can't see the cost benefit of paying anything above $5,000 to be somewhere where most likely, if I just go to that concentrated market where those individuals are from, I'm going to run into them anyway. Like, you could literally be in the state of Florida and be at an event every night, 7 nights a week. There's a real estate investor meeting. If you want to live in Florida and live in the greater Tampa area, Miami, St. Pete's, Fort Lauderdale, you could literally be at an event between Orlando and Miami, all that area. You could be at an event every night, 7 nights a week, and not have a night off, and literally meet 25 to 50 different people every day, and build out your buyer list, and build out your referral list, build out your CRM. Okay? So really, in this time, when it comes to financing and identifying a real estate investment, you need to stay in a more granular local market to where you're focusing to build out that team. Like yesterday, I needed somebody for one of my clients that needed mold. They needed to do mold inspection and mold remediation. I reached out to Ed. He gave me a contact. Boom. That because it's local, right? It was local. Now tomorrow I'm actually having a conversation with a nationwide property management company to kind of broaden my fishnet in helping them grow out their property management presence in various MSAs, which I think is important as well. I don't know where that's all going to go, but we're going to have that meeting tomorrow afternoon around 3 o'clock. But they're very impressed with my social media presence, and maybe we can facilitate a referral program working together. So to me, that's an opportunity for financing exposure to individuals that are in their circle, and vice versa. They don't know anything about my financing options. So I'm not telling you that asset-based lending again is the make all, the break all, but it's definitely a unique lane which allows you to see the differences between traditional lending, such as what Joe's talking about with a local credit union or a local bank, or hard money lenders that are pretty much just looking at short-term opportunities. And then there's a whole nother piece, true private money lenders. Like, I have colleagues that put their own money to work that don't kind of fall in any category. They're in their own little island. Now, there's not a lot of them running around. They don't wear an A-frame saying, "Hey, I'm a private money lender." But if you identify somebody like that, they're very reliable sources to growth into very unique opportunities that can probably build you out as a solid real estate investor, whether it's your first deal or your 10th deal. Now, you're going to pay probably higher rates, higher costs to close, but again, if you have that's a true relationship building type of lending. Timothy, good morning. Thanks for coming on. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, how to choose right financing for your real estate investment.
Good morning, Joseph. Thank you for having me up. Good morning, room. Sorry, I swallowed a lot of pollen yesterday. I'm a buy and hold real estate investor. Actually, I'm located up here in the Lehigh Valley. My thoughts are, and I think Ed hit it all, and Ed and Joe hit that nail on the head. Be bankable. That's your first. Your business starts with you. That's your foundation. Where your start is. What avenues you decide to go, and then, again, knowing your numbers and knowing what your exit strategy specifically will help guide you to whatever avenues you want to take. Joseph has asset money lending. It's a great product. great for certain circumstances. It might not be so great in your circumstance. You might want to go with a private lender. One thing I didn't hear anyone mention this morning yet was crowdfunding as a potential, but that again takes a lot of work. But I think it's a great discussion, and thank you, Joe, for providing that list of the cities as well. Where for investments, we always do appreciate that. But yeah, my thoughts are, and here's the other caveat too. We also have to think of it's not just you're investing your money, but for the property or where you're planning on putting your property as well. But you also have to look at, not only with those finances and your lender, what are your expenses, and also how are your finances as a character. Once you build those relationships with those people in those banks or in those areas, personally and professionally, that will help you get through any future endeavors a lot much faster. And just to your comment about, and Joe, to your comment, Martella, to your comment about the younger generation, yeah, we run into an era of instant gratification is kind of what it is. People think they can pretty much snap their fingers and it goes. You remember back in the day when you had the old telephones when you had to call an operator to connect you to somebody else, and then you went to the rotary phone. Then you went to, the push button telephone. If some of you are young enough to remember any of that, party lines. You didn't exactly pick up the phone and just be able to call whoever you needed to call. You had to wait till somebody on your block got off the phone. So we've now gone to an era of instant gratification to where we now have, let's say, thinking computers that can call people that you can fit in the palm of your hand. They're not cell phones anymore. They do multiple things. So as time goes on, people get used to the instant gratification, and I think that's where where things are at. Where real estate is not something. If you're looking for instant gratification, you're also going to be looking for either getting instantly broke real fast without having the education and knowledge, and that's where that's key. So if we are able to re-educate and help re-educate on that, I think we might start seeing a better real estate investor climate, especially even when it comes to financing. So those are my 2 cents, Joseph. I'm going to put it back to you. Remember, Timothy Doyle, Steel Hill Properties. Remember, can't buy it, steal it.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate the insight. People always say, "What do you think is going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years?" Listen, if you looked at over the last 20 years of the industry and how much change there's been made, but there's always been money made on buying real estate. I've never met somebody that bought a property 20 or 30 years ago and can't say they didn't make money if they still own the property today. I think it's numerically impossible. I think if you hold on to something, you treat it correctly, you leverage it correctly, and I think people don't really understand leverage. There's good mortgages and there's bad mortgages. If you're over leveraged, it's a bad mortgage. If it's leveraged appropriately and it's providing you income and a residual level of income and changing your whole scope of capability of survival with the property, then it's not bad debt. Okay? Now, I had somebody come up to me last night at a function I was at and thanked me. Hey, Joe, I really appreciate that. I own a free and clear. My home is free and clear. Thank you for giving me advice to go get a line of credit on my house. He goes, God forbid I need to get a roof. God forbid I got to do this. I at least have something in first position on my home to take care of that quickly, where I would have to then move money around otherwise. Because I was like, why would you leave your property, your primary home free and clear? Put a line of credit on it. Who cares about you bragging that it's free and clear? I would always want to have accessibilities to cash flow and cash on cash return. And as long as my property is supporting that and also supporting my pocket in ongoing income, and I'm treating the property correctly, then leveraging any existing assets is not a bad thing. And I know Tim brought up crowdfunding. I'm more of a fan of partnerships in the sense of knowing who you're partnering with and what the partners are bringing to the entity on that deal, and it's outlined by an attorney with a real operating agreement, with a real articles of formation, with a letter of good standing on the LLC, a real good IN letter, all that information outlined, understanding the marriage or partnership, and understanding the potential divorce to that partnership. I think the crowdfunding thing, if it doesn't stay controlled, I think there's too many spoons in the soup, and things could spiral out of control. And that's, I mean, again, it's all about understanding the market and timing as well. You know, market conditions significantly affect real estate financing and opportunities. Stay informed about the local market trends, interest rate movements, economic factors influencing property values. Sometimes timing your acquisition to coincide with the favorable market conditions can result in substantial savings and better investment returns. Regular analysis of the economic indicators and real estate cycles can guide you to make more informed decisions when you buy, sell, or hold properties to maximize your investment potential. Good morning, Linda. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, how to choose the right financing for real estate investments.
Good morning, investors. Good morning, Clubhouse. My name is Linda Pliagas, and I'm the founder of Realty411.com. We're a news and information website, and we help investors through publishing digital and print magazines, hosting virtual and in-person events, and giving them news and insight to help them on their real estate journey. Now, in regards to choosing the right financing for your investments, first of all, an investor has to figure out what their end game is even before buying or financing a property. Some key questions that you need to ask yourself and be aware of are, number one, will you be holding or selling the property after fixing the property? Time is very important because you see some loan products have prepayment penalties that you really need to be aware of. If you know you're going to be rehabbing the property, you need to know if that loan product has a penalty for repaying the loan within, say, 5 years or so. A lot of loan products do have prepayment penalties, so definitely be aware of that. Now, what is your plan with the property? Will you be renting it out and then selling it later, say in 5 to 10 years, to avoid capital gains, or to pay less taxes and avoid that huge capital gains if you sell before the 1 year timeline? Now, if maximum cash flow is your number one priority when buying a property, then you may want to consider an interest-only loan, which can maximize cash flows. I know a lot of investors that will get into a property with an interest-only loan so they can afford to buy the property, because maybe the cash flow isn't that great in the beginning, or maybe they don't have a huge down payment. So one of the ways that they can actually afford to get into a deal is by having an interest-only loan. So those are really valuable, and I would encourage people to explore those loan options, especially if they're having a difficult time buying that first property or expanding their existing portfolio. Now, if you want to collateralize your portfolio for maximum leverage, then you may want to look into getting a blanket loan for your portfolio. Now, that is another option as well, but I would recommend that you really know what you're doing with that, because you're going to be, leveraging numerous properties in one loan product. That can be very dangerous. It could also really highly leverage your portfolio, which could be a benefit. So it just depends on what your needs are and what your goals are. As always, I would encourage you to be conservative with your financial numbers. It's just, very important. You don't want to make a mistake and risk losing a property. Now, investors, there are many financial options available for you today, and I would encourage you to contact Joseph and professionals like him to help you determine what the best move is for you before you even, buy the property. You need to really know all your options ahead of time. Thank you so much, Joseph. Back to you.
Thanks, Linda. Hey, Linda, anything coming up on Realty 411 we should keep a heads up on?
Yes, actually, we will be having a virtual event. We invite everyone to join us on the virtual event June 22nd. I was actually going to reach out to you, Joseph, and invite you to participate and to be one of the speakers for our virtual event, which is being held on Saturday, June 22nd. You can find out more information about that at realty411.com. You can email us if you'd like to receive a link to it, info@realty411.com. We're also having an in-person event in Southern California on August the 3rd, which is also a Saturday. And I would encourage everyone who can join us to attend. We're going to have a spectacular day with incredible education from speakers from around the country who are flying in to Southern California. And then October 26th, we have our huge Los Angeles Grand Real Estate Expo, and we're hoping that you can join us for that. Joseph, that is Saturday, October 26th. We typically get over 800 investors from around the country that day, and this year our goal is to have 1,000 investors joining us from around the country for one amazing day of networking, education, and motivation. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And please send me the details so we can get that event out that's coming up soon. Yes, I spoke at the Greater LA REIA Expo last year. It was really phenomenal. I think I was the opening act for the gentleman that was from auction.com. So very full room, very engaged investors that invested all over the country. All over the country. They had zero borders. They were looking everywhere. All types of opportunities. And, I'm going to touch on a couple things that Linda discussed real quick. The blanket loan idea. There's nothing wrong with doing a blanket loan if you know what your objective is with the portfolio. Okay? You need to understand the blanket loan. You need to understand the repercussions of selling off a potential property off of that blanket loan and how that will cost you from a recasting of the loan. I'm going to give you an example of a loan that I'm working on this week. It's a construction loan I completed 2 years ago for one of my clients. It was roughly $8.5 million construction loan. And he sold off a certain amount of the portfolio, and now he's looking to take some of the properties in. And I'm having a frank discussion with him saying, listen, well, I don't think you should blanket all these properties in one loan because you might want to peel some of these off. Maybe we should do 3 at a time in three properties at per loan, portfolio loan, because God forbid you want to peel one of these properties off, it's not impacting the whole basket of apples. Okay, and we're also looking at a 10-year interest only with a 30-year AM. We're also looking at a 3-year prepay instead of a 5-year prepay. We're strategically putting the numbers in play for him for the exit strategy from most or all these properties in time. Not today, but over the next 36 months, 48 months, and peeling that onion a little bit and seeing where we're going to look at, because we both agree that things will look differently in 3 to 4 years where he built out these properties. He already has comps to justify refinances from selling off some of the property. So there's financing is it substantiates the real estate acquisition. It needs to be manageable. Okay, you need to understand the lending sources that are in asset-based lending or local banks or credit unions. Blanket loans do exist. They do work. They're more easier to discuss today than 10 years ago. But we got to move this guy to the audience. Bye-bye. I don't know what happened to that guy. But you really need to understand the economic indications to blanket loans and what that looks like. Okay? You really need to understand it completely. I want to hold on one second. Yeah, let's see here. So let's see. Hold on one second. All right, I just had to fix that real quick. So, give me 1 minute, guys. We have a person that's not so nice coming up into our rooms. So, planning and looking at the right approach is very important when looking at either blanketing multiple properties, or looking at single family through 4 family type of properties individually, and what that cost is going to be. Now, he is going to save money in underwriting fees and legal fees, but does it make sense short term and long term for him? Good morning, Rob. Welcome. Brief overview: who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. How to choose the right financing for your real estate investment.
Morning, Joe. I'm Rob, real estate investor out of New Jersey. I agree with what Brady was saying before. Is that just got to stay ready, especially new investors, because I was a newbie getting to the game a few years back, and the main thing that helped me was just staying ready. So when the opportunity came up, I was able to jump in. Even 2 years back to back, buy a property both of those years. But I'll say staying ready and then having a close relationship with a lender, because the lender is somebody who always bounce ideas off. You can always say if there's something new, like when they changed that 5% conventional for the multifamily, I could instead of me just looking online and everything, I called my lender, had my lender break it down and explain it to what I would understand. So I'll say that. I had a quick question. I heard about something because my younger sister is a doctor, and I heard about there's like a medical loan or something for people in the medical space. Have you heard anything about that?
Yes, Rob. You should go to your traditional lender to go over that, because I'm not a traditional lender. So okay. I'm strictly a commercial investment lender. So I'm not going to give you any insight on that. I can't. Yeah, it's not my lane anymore. Well, if it was my lane, I'd go over it. But really, the doctor loans, they've changed a little bit just based on present and future income. So you really need to talk to a traditional lender that's proficient with that.
Sounds good. Yeah, but I'll just say just staying ready, and then also having a good relationship with a lender. Those are the main two ways I'll say. Almost anybody can be ready for the right financing when they see an opportunity.
Thank you, Rob. Understanding your investment strategy before reaching out to lenders is crucial to have a grasp on your real estate investment strategy. What your strategy focuses on investing into whether it's residential, commercial, or multiple rental units, okay? Evaluating the loan types. What makes sense for you and what your comfort level is. Do you want a 30-year? That's typically where asset-based lending falls. If you want a 15 or 20-year, you got to talk to a traditional lender or credit union or local bank. Comparing interest rates and fees. I'm very transparent about my fees and or cost to a loan. I don't hide anything. There's no cloak and daggers and smoke and mirrors. Assessing lender flexibility and terms. You need flexibility in this evolving market. Checking also the lender's experience and reputation. I'm very transparent on LinkedIn. I can't really hide. Please follow me. I always post articles and educational insight and strategy discussions. I'm here on a podcast every Saturday morning, every Sunday morning. I don't really hide behind anything. And obviously leveraging your professional networks, investor groups and RIA groups and Chamber of Commerces are, I think, very important to kind of understand where the accessibilities are for financing options for real estate investing. I think it's very important. Good morning, Melissa, and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, how to choose the right financing for your real estate investment.
Good morning, Clubhouse. Thank you for having me up. This is Melissa King. I'm an owner-operator at One Last Eye LLC, Virtual Assistant Services, and I offer realty, bookkeeping, and admin professional services. I do mostly real estate bookkeeping for my current clients, but I'm a notary and also can offer some business and office management should they need it. To today's discussion, I wanted to bring up the bookkeeping services part. You knew that was going to get me in, didn't you, Joe?
I knew it.
Many of my clients started investing as small investors, single-family homes, duplexes, and then they find that the bookkeeping becomes overwhelming, and they seek out bookkeeping services. Our particular services are good for real estate investors because they're usually cheaper than their CPA. And many CPAs I find lately their staff is just overloaded with everything else. So definitely, if you don't want to do your bookkeeping anymore, you want to look into a reputable bookkeeper yourself. Absolutely. My clients, to today's point, my clients use and have used all of these lending strategies that Joe has mentioned here today. It really does depend on your situation and your investing level. I would say there are so many opportunities out there. Really figure out what your strategy is. I love that talk because I'm doing that myself this year, trying to figure out my investment strategy so that I can move forward, get all of my numbers together, get into more of the lender's minds and see what I can do. Because once you're using your bookkeeping, reviewing your financials on a regular basis, and that word bankable, oh, I love that. You can't get beyond that because bankable is the only way you're going to really be able to have access to cash. And that includes your credit report, rating, how you run yourself, your business professionally, etc. All of that plays into it. So I cannot stress that enough. I think that's all I mentioned. I have all these notes. You would love my papers, Joe. I've got notes with highlights all over it. There was some really good stuff today, especially what Linda had. I'm just so excited. Really looking forward to 2024. So moving forward all the way. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Melissa. Some golden rules in property investing. Buy from obviously motivated sellers. Buy in an area of strong rental demand. Buy for positive cash flow. Buy for the long term. And always have a cash buffer. You will minimize your risk of property investment and maximize your returns. I mean, again, karma is extremely real, whether it's in life or in your profession. How you treat yourself in this industry is extremely important. And financing the right investment property is very important too. I want to add a couple things before we go to Justin, and then we'll get an outro from Amy in a minute too. We're the only Clubhouse room that has their own podcasts that's providing every consistent educational subjects every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. every weekend. We provide worksheets for you to be a better educated investor, to underwrite your own deals, and also to price your own deals out in the lending landscape as well. I have pricing software that you could price out your own DSCR loan and your own fixed-to-rent, fixed-to-flip loan that you can run for yourself on future endeavors. We also have a CE course that provides insight on navigating through asset-based lending for licensed real estate agents in every state in the country. We're also rolling out a new CE course that I'm finishing up the write-up on right now. It's getting submitted to be approved sometime in the next 60 days on wholesaling real estate as a real estate agent. It'll be a 3-credit CE course. I'll be the only one teaching this course out there nationally for the time being. So, because once you write one and you get it published to be accredited, other people can pay into grabbing that course to teach it for themselves. But right now, I will be the only person CE accredited teaching this course on wholesaling real estate for real estate agents. So I'm excited about that. We're at our 41st loaded podcast on the Creative Birth Strategies site. So we're getting to that ultimate 50 mark, and then the 100 mark, and we've had national events with Linda and Realty 4-in-1. So we're there to hopefully provide a consistent theme for everybody that's staying engaged with our group every Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday morning. Justin, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to how to choose the right financing for your real estate investment. Or should we buy that little tract of land that you private messaged me on Instagram? Justin, are you there? Justin going once. Justin going twice. He sent me this little funny thing. It was really funny. Yeah, somebody got scammed in buying a little piece of land for $9,100. It was pretty funny, but I guess he's busy with something that can't come up. So, Amy, little outro to all the thoughts that we were discussing this morning on how to choose the right financing for your real estate investment.
Yeah, I think the gist of the room was really about being creative, looking for multiple options, don't walking away if you get turned down from your first no, right? You can't do that. Conventional is probably not going to work right now. So, and it's also about being prepared for when those options or those opportunities come your way. There's a plethora of financing options that are available to you as a real estate investor. You just need to do the hard work of going and finding them. So and you should. This should be investor 101. Your job as an investor is to know what financing options are available to you, and if you aren't doing that, you're not doing your job. So that would be my other half a nickel. Thanks for having me.
Now we have a full dime from Amy this morning. I really appreciate it, Amy. Look forward to seeing your upcoming podcast here on Clubhouse too as well. And Ed, your outro in regards to how to choose the right financing for your real estate investment.
A lot of great things were touched on, but also going back to being bankable is, build a relationship with your local community banks and your credit union before you have a deal. Like go in there and show them what you have and everything, and be bankable with them before you have a deal. This way, you can just say, "Hey, I got this deal that's going." It saves a lot of time, and also about self-directed IRAs. Like a lot of people, don't know about them, so you need to educate them to become your own private lender. And like you said, it's all about building relationships with them and showing them the benefits of, because there's a lot of people who want to get involved in real estate, but they don't want to actually buy properties and flip properties and things like that. And this is a way for them to do it.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that for your insight. Linda, your outro to how to choose the right financing for your real estate investment.
Yes, good morning. Investors, it's important to explore finance options and also to review your existing loans to see if a refinance will improve your existing cash flow on the properties that you currently have. So be sure to evaluate your financial situation on a regular basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I want to thank our sponsors, as always, every week with us. I'd like to thank Yardell Perkins with Perkatech, our social media strategist. I call him the Oz behind the drape. Lendmark Capital, your asset-based lender, providing nationwide direct private lending in the investment space for single family through 25 units, new construction, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, and DSCR. MB Capital, your unsecured business line of credit referral program, providing unsecured business lines of credit for investors in our space. And then I'd like to thank one other one. Realty. Sorry, Linda. Realty 411 with Linda Plagas in regards to her national publication, providing insight and articles for real estate professionals throughout the country, and her national events, whether online or live, that are coming up this year. In the past, we've got a couple good ones coming up this year. So, my name is Joseph Scarice, founder and host of the Creative Birth Strategy House and podcast, providing insight, education, and networking every Saturday and Sunday morning. And my quote this morning: Dear past, thank you for all your lessons. Dear future, I am ready. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. And thank you.